I am no witch. I fear nothing but God, and I will own no crime. Chief Justice William Stoughton called upon the children of the accused witch. Richard Carrier, step forward and say what thou hast to say. My mother called the devil her only God, sir. She made me touch his book. Richard, speak truth, not terror. Andrew, Thomas, step forward and tell the Grand Assembly the promises your mother made. She told us we would be princes in a new kingdom of hell. And as last, little Sarah, child, tell me, did your mother make you a witch? Yes, she made me sign the book of the devil at 6 years old. They forced my children against me. These are lies born of fear.
Order!
Martha Carrier, you are found guilty of witchcraft. You shall be hanged by the neck until death on the 19th of this month. To understand Salem, we have to understand the setting, their thoughts, their demons, their way of life. Salem was divided. Salem town was a wealthy port on the coast. Salem village was the farming community inland. That split matters, because the trials took place in the village and not in the town. The village was poor, cold and close to the frontier. Families survived harsh winters, while news of raids and killings from King William's War, especially attacks by Wabanaki fighters allied with the French, haunted them. In June 1692, Wabanaki and French fighters attacked Wells and Maine, killing settlers and burning homes. These horrors were fresh in Salem's memory. Refugees sometimes passed through with stories of burned houses and slaughtered neighbors. Sleeping with a loaded musket by the door was not a movie effect, it was daily life. Inside the village, people fought over the church. The Putnam family backed Reverend Samuel Parris and wanted independence from Salem town. The Porter family said no. Cut the taxes. Always a good idea. Slow down and stop fueling conflict. Land disputes also fueled suspicion. The Putnams and their allies often accused people who owned land that they wanted or who blocked their expansion. These feuds gave the trials an economic edge as well as a spiritual one. Everyone lived close, everyone watched everyone. If your cow died, it was a moral lesson. If your child coughed, it might be a sign from God. Ministers preached that the forest was not just trees, but a battlefield between God and Satan. So Salem village lived with two kinds of pressure. Fear of the outside world, war, wilderness, hunger and fear on the inside of strict religion. Neighbors spying on each other like the secret police, and public shame for the sinner. That is a pile of dry wood waiting for a spark. The spark arrives in the minister's house. 9-year-old Betty Parris and 11-year-old Abigail Williams start to convulse, bark and complain of pins in their skin. Dr. Griggs says he finds no natural cause. People go quiet after hearing those words. Soon, more girls join the circle of the afflicted. Ann Putnam Jr., Mary Welcott, Mercy Lewis, and others. The meeting house fills. Prayers rise, and in the middle of sermons, girls start to scream that witches walk among them. Pressure builds to name the enemy. In desperation, Tidupa, an enslaved woman, baked a witch cake made from rye meal and urine and fed it to a dog. A folk remedy meant to reveal the witches tormenting the girls. This strange act blurred the line between Puritan faith and folk magic, and it set the stage for panic. Unfortunately for Tidupa, the witch cake failed, which led to her being accused of witchcraft. She and 2 other women were the first to be accused of witchcraft. So we have an enslaved woman, Sarah Good, a poor beggar, and Sarah Osborne, an elderly widow in a property dispute. As always, the least protected are the first to fall. After hours of brutal interrogation, Tidupa confessed to committing witchcraft. Her confession saved her life, because the magistrates and clergy believed that the confession was a sign of repentance. The people that confessed saved their own life, but their testimonies, also called spectral evidence, was used to hunt for other witches. Spectral evidence was accepted. A witness could say, "I saw your spirit attack me, even though your body was somewhere else." In Salem, that counted as proof. Would you confess to save your own life, even though it meant dooming many others to these brutal courts? Now the machine turns. Governor William Phips creates a special court called Oyer and Terminer. William Staunton is the chief judge. Bridget Bishop was the first victim of this new special court. Every time Bridget moved her head, the girls that accused her of witchcraft would collapse. Abigail Williams, Ann Putnam Jr. and Mercy Lewis claimed that even a glance from Bishop could cause them physical harm. A torn coat was shown as evidence, and the righteous jury would of course accept it as a sign. Bridget Bishop was sentenced to death and hanged on the 10th of June in 1692. By midsummer, the pace speeds up. Rebecca Nurse, a respected grandmother, is condemned to death and hanged on the 19th of July. In August, 10 more hang, including former minister George Burroughs. Oh yes, not only women were executed, also the men were hanged to death. While standing on the ladder to get executed, George Burroughs praised the Lord's Prayer perfectly, something the crowd believed a witch could not do. For a moment, doubt ripples, but the rope still goes tight. And then we have Martha, a respectable church-going woman who was outspoken in her belief that the afflicted girls were lying. Her skepticism made her a target, and she was arrested on witchcraft charges in March 1692. Even her husband, Giles Corey, believed the accusations and testified against her. However, as the trial progressed and he himself was accused of witchcraft in April by Ann Putnam Jr., Mercy Lewis and Abigail Williams, Giles had a profound change of heart. He realized the injustice of the proceedings and recanted his testimony against his wife, leading to greater suspicion upon himself. But the drama doesn't stop there, so Giles dropped the accusations against his own wife. But his wife was now like, "Hold up, wait a minute, you tried to F me over, and now I will try to F you over." So Martha joined the accusations and testified against her own husband. Giles entered the court but refused to enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. Either way, the court came up with a creative way of execution, which is called peine forte dure in French. In English it says hard and forceful punishment. The practice was basically death by the weight of stones. Giles was stripped of his clothes, a board was placed on his chest, and heavy stones were piled on top of him. When the judges asked if he was now ready to plead, Giles would say, "More weight!" To be honest, he was a badass, but after 2 days he would die under the pressure. Small fact, Giles was the only one in the history of the American colonies to be pressed to death in this way. But let's get back to the courtroom, where panic rules and death is always lurking in the shadows. As spectral testimonies are accepted as truth, confessions are rewarded and denials are punished. The afflicted girls cry and collapse in sync with the judge's questions. The crowd follows the rhythm. It feels like proof. But is it proof or is it theater? From jail, Mary Eastie writes a calm, heartbreaking plea. She does not beg for herself. She begs the court to stop the bloodshed. It reads like a warning Salem refuses to hear. By the end of summer, 19 hanged, 1 pressed, at least 5 dead in jail, and 2 dogs killed as suspected familiars. A ritual of purity by rope and stone. Each death promises safety, then demands another one. Follow the power, not just the fear. Ministers' warning of Satan gained authority. Magistrates who acted firm looked like guardians. Families used the panic to settle grudges. but panic has a breaking point. The girls accuse people too powerful to touch, even the governor's wife. Trade stalled, crops rotted, jails overflowed, clergy pushed back against spectral evidence. Colin Mather, yes, it's his real name, helped fuel the panic with his writings. But his father, Increase Mather, which is also his real name, later argued against spectral evidence. This split in the clergy helped turn the tide. Governor William Phips suspended the court of Oyer and Terminer in October 1692. In January 1693, the new court rejected ghost stories. Prisoners began to walk free. In January 1697, a colony-wide day of fasting and repentance was declared, and Judge Samuel Sewell publicly confessed his error. In 1711, the colony paid compensations to the families of the accused. Centuries later, the state of Massachusetts formally issued apologies. After reading records, sermons and letters, here's my take. Salem was not just about witches. It was fear of frontier war, church politics, family feuds, and the human need to blame someone when life feels out of control. Was the devil in Salem? The people in 1692 said yes, loud and often. Was there a secret plot? Not with handshakes and maps. The plot was simpler. People believed what confirmed their fears, and the court gave those fears legal power. Who did it? The village did it to itself. Slowly it tried to make it right. Not enough, not fast, but it was a start. I want to thank you all for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember that history is written in mystery.